The Santa Clauses episode 3. I reviewed the first two episodes and I surprisingly enjoyed it. And so I wanted to review the whole season. And now we're at the midway point of the season because it's only a 6 episode show or a little mini series. And I did not like this episode. Uh, and I think why I didn't was I think that, like, while the first episode brought out the best parts of the Santa Claus movies, this brings out the worst, which is the annoying humor that's very juvenile and bad and clunky and weird and overly cheesy, and that bothered me a lot. And then you have some plot points that are just really confusing how they're put together. So, like in this episode should have been longer. And I say it should have been longer because you have this dude who's kidnapped and sent to the North Pole and doesn't realize why he's sent there. He's interviewed to be the next Santa, which we all could have assumed from the last episode. But I think what's annoying is they don't give you much of a surprise to that being what's happening because you have this. So you have Santa. He's given all these interviews with these characters, right? And he's interviewing people to be Santa, but you only see him interview one other person, and there should have been like a montage in the episode where they're interviewing other people, and it's just not working, and he's like, oh, and then he meets this other guy, but because they focus on this one dude and his daughter so much, they make it very clear to you this dude's gonna be Santa. There's no mystery, so you're just waiting for that to happen, and I think that's a little not the best writing or filmmaking or just put together episode. I feel like this episode instead of 30 minutes could have been at least 40, um, or at least a couple more minutes, basically like 5 more minutes, and it would have been a little bit stronger. Then you have the fact that so the brother wants to leave the North Pole, but now his sister doesn't, and then you're like, weren't you in the last one wanting to leave? Like this is another problem that could have been easily fixed. All they had to do is write it so, man, I really wanted to leave the North Pole, but now I'm starting to have regrets over the things I'm gonna miss. Blah 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 blah. Easy fix. Could have been a way more streamlined and put together thing, but it just feels very like, wait, why are you like switching your mind like next episode? You know, and so a lot of that doesn't work. And then it's also like this episode feels too much like a series finale until you get to the cliffhanger and you're like, okay, there's a cliffhanger, I guess. I don't know, I just feel but it feels like they put it together so much where you're watching it going, well, obviously this isn't the end. And they made that very obvious in the way it's presented. Like you watching it, you're going, this is not the end of the show. Why is it acting like it is? And if it was, it would be a very like not very good finale to this show. It's very weird. So I did not like this episode. I think there's some pretty heavy flaws with this one that they could have been ironed out to make it a just a little bit stronger of an episode. But what you gonna do?